Perfect. All right. Absolutely excited about spring ball starting and hopefully getting to have spring ball. With everything that we've gone through over the past year, um, just anytime we can get back on the field with our guys, have the opportunity to get work done, it always fires us up. Now, we've got a veteran team coming back. We've got a lot of our seniors that elected to come back and play this year with the opportunity and the mindset and the goal to not only get back to the championship game, conference championship game, but to go out there and win it. That's been our focus. Talked about a lot of different things that kind of lead up to that. Understanding and knowing that within the conference that we play and the schedule that's in front of us, it's going to be a tough track. And you got to win close ball games, and you got to do a good job of being able to separate when you have opportunities to do that. You got to be able to hunker down and finish games off. We did some good things of that last year. We got to continue to keep building on those things that we did and continue to grow as a unit, as a football team in general, as an offense, as a defense, as special teams. We all contribute to that. And so this spring, we get a chance to get back on the field, get a chance to continue to grow, continue to raise the standard, and continue to push each other to develop at an even stronger rate at a higher level, and preparing ourselves for next fall. So I'm excited to get back on the field with our guys, excited to see them get back out and roll. It doesn't seem that long ago that we were on the field, and that's a good thing. So we step back out and get back going again this Sunday afternoon, and hopefully the rain will hold off a little bit. We can get it in and keep rolling. So with that, I'll take questions.
Philip, with so many guys back, how do you kind of get them to continue to compete with each other when there aren't a lot of holes to fill,
Yeah, the good thing about these guys is they compete year long. And, whether we're talking about what we've done in our winter off season, our winter conditioning, these guys understand what it takes. They understand that, we push each other, we challenge each other, and every job is going to come open. You've got to go out and you've got to earn that part of it, and you've got to push the guy in front of you, and he's got to continue to push and grow. And if you're not doing that, you're going to get surpassed, because guys are hungry, guys are wanting to be on the field, and it's about taking advantage of opportunities when you get them and really capitalizing on those and making a name for a young guy that's fixing to have that opportunity. Or in the situation that we were in last year, we'll see what the future holds for us. But, you're one test away, you're one injury away, you're one this, one that. That never has been more important than what it has been in the last year.
Obviously, quarterback is a spot where your starter has moved on. Is that going to be an open competition? How do you see that playing out in the spring?
Yeah, we're going to have an open competition to it yet. I think, Seth is still recovering from his injury, has really progressed well. Davis came in and played exceptionally well last year when given the opportunities. He's obviously the front runner at this point, and he's really preparing himself to be the starter. He's always done that in years past, but obviously the emphasis is even more now, and the amount of reps that he's been able to get with our receivers that they're doing on their own, preparing himself for this spring. He's going to get a lot of different looks from our defense, which will be extremely tough again this year. So I think that will help propel him and prepare him for what we're going to see next fall.
Coach, the fan base probably feels so much better about your situation at quarterback just because of the 1 quarter and a half or whatever it was he was able to play against Tulane. How much did that do for his confidence? And then maybe the flip side of that, did he even need to do that to prove to you guys, who have seen him at practice for a few years now, that he's ready for this moment?
I don't think he had to prove it to us. We've always had faith in him. We've had faith in Seth. And I said on numerous occasions last year, Zach was our starter and really felt like this was the best quarterback room that I've had overall since we've been here from a depth standpoint. felt like we had 3 guys at that point that we could plug into a game and felt comfortable with them going in and operating. I think what he did when he did go in obviously raises his level, everybody else's level of what they're expecting of him come this fall. But I want him to understand this is going to be a new team. It's going to be a new environment, and, put all that other to the side and let's just go out and operate and do what we need to do and continue to get better through the spring and preparing ourselves for the fall.
Maybe I've missed something, but I haven't seen an assistant coach hiring since Jesse Williams. So will you enter spring down 2 coaches, or are there things in the works there? What update can you give us on?
Yeah, things are in the works right now. I'm hoping to have all of that finalized before spring ball starts. And you'll get that information as soon as I can get it out.
Well, one last thing on that. You had longtime guys leaving, and all of them are the kind of things that you hate to see them go, but when you're going to SEC schools or the NFL, I mean, that shows that they did a great job here. But to lose that many guys in 1 year that have been with you, from the start, just every coaching staff goes through this, but how much of an adjustment is that for you right now?
Yeah, obviously it's an adjustment, and I'm happy for those guys. Obviously they got an opportunity. They took advantage of that opportunity, and I thank them for the years that they put in with us here. One of the things that's been really unique about our situation is we haven't had a ton of turnover, and that's been a blessing for us as we've continued to build this program and continue to want to build on top of what we've done. With that being said, guys leave. It gives you an opportunity. You're bringing in some guys. You always look at it's an opportunity for us to continue to grow. It's an opportunity for us to get better too. And, it brings some fresh and some new things to the table. And so that's exciting when it comes to that part of it, especially with this veteran group of guys that we have back. It gives us an opportunity to bring some guys in. I mean, these 2 coaches that are fixing to walk through the door, our players are going to know schematically right now more than they are. And it's going to take an adjustment time for them to get caught up to what we do, how we do it. And then they're going to be able to coach on the fine-tune things. But, schematically, some of these old guys, they've been running it for a while. And so it'll be a catching up process. But I like the idea of being able to bring in some fresh and some new people, some ideas schematically to keep challenging us and allowing us as a coaching staff to continue to grow.
With how much spring ball and winter conditioning can kind of drag on and be a grind, does not getting spring ball last year make this a little bit more exciting for the guys, you think, as opposed to, well, crap, we got to go out and work out. We got to go out and practice today. You know what I'm saying?
I do, TJ. I mean, I think our guys are just excited to get back on the field and compete and continue to work and continue to build off of what we were able to do a year ago, and understanding we're still a long ways from where we can be and where we want to be. The difference too, spring break in the calendar right now is a little bit different. It used to be that I would always have about 7 practices before spring break and then 8 afterwards. Well, spring break now is pushed back into April. So I think we've laid out our calendar and our workouts to where we're going to get our work in. Hopefully they don't feel that grind part of it. There's going to be some time in there where we're going to practice. You're going to get the next day off and be able to be in meetings and do some things like that, where you're not just trying to get it all in and really push from that standpoint. So for us, we want to get good competitive work with our guys. We want to make sure that they're feeling that part of it and us moving forward. But it doesn't need to feel like a grind. It needs to be fresh every day. We got to bring juice. We got to bring energy. Those guys generally do that, and I don't expect anything different now.
You mentioned building off last year as well. Can you feel or sense momentum from that in the workouts and leading up into spring ball?
Well, I think from an accountability standpoint, right, there's some areas that we've got to improve upon. And those things we've really, really stressed in this winter break or this winter conditioning work. You can feel it from the guys, I think, from a confidence standpoint more than anything, right? we've shown we can go out and make those plays. We've shown we can be in big ball games and do what we need to do. We've shown to have our back against the wall and be able to come back, whether it's on the road or at home. Those are all really positive things that we can continue to build on. Instead of talking about it, you've got it in your back pocket that you can pull it out. That experience that happened, and this is what we had to do, and this is the way we went. You can feel that confidence building in this group. Now we just got to continue to keep growing together.
Where is Shamari at in his recovery?
Yeah, you know, Sham is really, in my opinion, now obviously I'm not a Dr. Kelly, so but in my opinion, I think he's really further ahead than what I thought he would be at this point. He's going to be very, very limited come spring ball time. But what he's been able to do in the weight room and the strength that he's been able to gain back already, what I've watched him do in our winter conditioning as far as opening up and starting to run and really do those things, he and Johansi both are much further ahead than what I thought they would be at this point. But we're going to be smart with them in spring ball and, you know, really get him to the summer. And, you know, when you're dealing with that injury, you're really talking more about, okay, the knee's fine now. I got to get my strength back. And then it's more of the mental part of it, of getting over that hurdle, saying, I can do this again and I'm going to be okay. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now in the process with both of them.
Zaven was on the NFL Network yesterday. You know, I know you saw that. And I guess I'm just wondering, because the NFL draft now is just such a big deal and it's talked about so many places, and he's a guy who's solidly in the first round and is talked about by a lot of people. Just what have you seen in terms of, you know, recruiting, and then just the value of having a guy perform that well, win that many awards, get talked about, you know, on the NFL Network and everywhere else, the value to you and your staff and the University of Tulsa?
Well, I think more than anything from the recruiting side of it, it doesn't matter who you call right now. They know Zaven's name. Right? Just because of the amount of the awards that he's gotten, the amount of press that he's gotten, the amount of coverage that he's gotten. And it's not coverage that just went away after the season was over. It's continuing down this process. They all know who he is. So that has been a huge deal for us. I sure would like to be on the road right now recruiting instead of doing it by phone or Twitter or all that. I mean, I think that's where we would probably see a big jump. If we were back out on the road and we've got this emblem on our chest and being able to be around schools and be around kids, being able to evaluate them from that standpoint. But it has been a big boost from there. But I think even more than that, I mean, the amount of exposure that our program has gotten, but maybe even more importantly that our university has gotten, that Zaven has brought to the table, and it didn't cost anybody anything, right? I mean, it's a deal where you can't put a price on the amount of exposure that Zaven and this football team has been able to manufacture over the last year or so. So I think we all ought to be very thankful for the way it's played out. And obviously Zaven is going to be an ambassador for us and this university for many years to come. But we're all rooting for him. And, you know, feel really good about where he's headed and what's going on with the amount of traction that he's had, not only from the press, but the amount of calls that teams have put back towards us and just doing their due diligence as they do their research.
I thought it was interesting. We get him in a press conference setting, so we don't see him as much, but he gets asked about his draft spot, you know, and I can't remember who did the interview, said, you know, do you think you'll be around at 20 or 25 or 15, 20, whatever the question was? He said, no. It was interesting to see that confidence from a guy that we've seen so humble in all these press conferences and anytime we're interacting with him.
Yeah, and Zaven's always been confident, right? But Zaven's always done a really good job of making sure that his teammate, his teams, it was all about everybody else and not always just about Zaven. You know, right now in this draft era that he's in, it needs to be about Zaven, right? And so I like that he's confident and understanding I've got the potential of this happening. There's been a lot of teams that have reached out to him people that are saying, hey, if you're there, we're going to take you at this point, or teams that have talked about, hey, we're trying to move up and see if we get an opportunity to get to you. So, all those things are looking good. Obviously, he's got pro day coming up here pretty soon. And, that'll be a big day for him and for all of our guys participating in that.
For the record, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was sweet hearing him say that. I thought it was kind of fun to hear that confidence. I think the Tulsa football Twitter put out a pretty fun video with it too. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And again, because we know him as well as we do, that's not his normal answer. And it was just good to see him kind of step out there and say, hey, yes, I don't think I'll be here at that point. They better hurry up. I mean, Dak kind of put it out there. He got paid.
Hey,
Any other questions for Coach?
You may have hit on this at the very beginning when you talked about the competition you want to see in spring ball, but like without a doubt, this is the situation you want, where you have all these guys coming back, not just starters, but their backups and guys who have started games here, there, and everywhere. You have all this experience coming back. That is what you want. But is there any sort of challenge to making sure that it's not stale in some way when you've got guys who have been on campus that long, been through this, done that? Is, are there new things you can do in spring ball or new things you can add to try and keep it from being a little bit stale?
Yeah, I think so, Caden. I mean, I'm not overly concerned about that because I know the way our guys work, right? But that being said, you've got a guy that's now going on his 6th year and he's back and like, okay, here's another spring ball, right? You got to make it fresh. You got to make it challenging. And I think that starts with that guy lining up in front of him, wherever the position may be, right? Hey, that guy's going to challenge me every day. That guy's going to make me bring everything I've got to the table every day. If he's not doing that, then I'm going to be barking at him saying, hey, let's go, right? I need more out of you. I'm expecting more out of you. And that's where you can't just settle in and say, hey, we're there, because we're not. We still got a lot of work to do. We still got a lot of growing to do and learning to do and improving to do. We haven't reached the pinnacle of what we want to be and what we can be, and understand we've got a big, big climb in front of us. And just look at our schedule and what's out there. I mean, we're going to get challenged all the way through it. And how our conference is. So we get an opportunity to step out there on the field. We got to be prepared. We got to be ready, and we got to continue to keep pushing each other to get ourselves there.
On the schedule, do you have any thoughts on 3 non-Saturday home games? Do you wish that wasn't the case? Do you have any control?
I have no control over that. So, whatever they lay out in front of me, that's what we've got to play. Do I wish we were playing on Saturdays? Yes. Right. But that being said, I don't have any influence over that at all. So, I've said this on record before, Friday games, that's for me is for Oklahoma high school football. And that's difficult to kind of bang your head against, but it is what it is. We got to play it, and we got to be prepared and ready to go on those short weeks.
Really quick, you mentioned Zaven and Pro Day. Who else do you see participating, and who else maybe are you fielding calls for, I guess?
Well, obviously Zach. Zach's going to be in there. Corey's going to be in there. Those 3 guys are going to be probably the main guys that are really pushing for this one, because of all of these cats coming back, which is awesome. Our pro day is going to be a little bit more limited as far as participation, but as far as NFL participation, there's going to be a lot of them there. So we're looking forward to it. We're excited about it, and it's going to be great exposure, even for those guys that have elected to come back, and those guys that would have been seniors right now that will have the option to really get in the mix of that next year. You're going to have that type of, excitement that's going on, and them having exposure to what this is, what it looks like. And then again, that being that carrot that's out in front saying, hey, I want this to be me a year from now. Zaven went to pro day last year and watched. look what it's doing. So I have the opportunity. Now I got to go out and make it happen.
Coach, a year ago, as you sent the guys home when spring football was canceled, you told them to stay in shape. And, you know, the guys were doing curls with paint buckets full of water, full of sand, and they were bench pressing their little brothers and their little sisters. They were throwing car tires and truck tires, and they were running to stay in shape. And then you had great success. So are you okay with sending them back to the old fashioned way of going to the weight room, or you want them to do some of those things again?
I think we'll go with the more modern attraction on this, but you know, there's some things that we did last summer because of the pandemic that may come back into play this summer. Just with, you know, some things that we did with our weight room, some things that we were able to do from a workout standpoint that we may incorporate again, but just because we really liked how it kind of played in and prepared us for fall camp. So Eric Anthony and I have sat down and we've talked about those things, but I would still prefer them to be here with us and us training them than them being home and trying to lift the dog or a hay bale or a paint bucket. I think we can move further a little bit on that one. Bruce.
Well, with that, any other questions? All right. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Thank you, Coach.
Hey, good to see y'all. Talk to you
Thanks,
later.
Coach.